Hello everyone, I'm Aaron from DataStax, and today I'm going to take you through part 4 of migrating an enterprise e-commerce website to the Table API. And in part 4 today, we're going to focus on the cart as a part of our e-commerce site. So the idea is that we have these methods that view all the products in the cart, add an item to the cart, and finally remove an item from the cart. So let's go ahead and look at creating all these. Let's go. So if we go back to our e-commerce website here, I'll go ahead and just have a look at the shopping cart. This little icon up here. I can click into that. You can see cart is empty. So if I go back, I can say, hey, Apache Cassandra 3.0 t-shirt. Yep, extra large. That's me. Add to cart. And, maybe I'll go into t-shirts, DataStax one team, extra large, add to cart. All right, excellent. And then I can click into the shopping cart, and you see there are the two items that I've added. So this is what we're going to be working on today. Now, if I go back to my IDE and I'm looking, the main thing that we're going to be working on today is this cart products REST controller. And I don't need this thing to be running at the moment here, so I can go ahead and stop that. The idea is that we have services exposed that allow us to use the cart. And I mean, everyone here has used a shopping cart before. So you all know that, we need to find all the products in the cart by an ID. That's one method. Next one is a put for adding a product to the cart. And finally, we have a delete mapping for removing a product from the cart. And we have a mapper to map from the cart product entity to the cart product, and a mapper that goes the other way from the cart product to the cart product entity. The first thing we're probably going to need is a cart product table entity. Now, if you'll remember, we created one for the pricing table in the last video, and it looks kind of like this. So it's just our normal, entity class. It's a POJO, plain old Java object, but we annotate it with this entity table. We have a partition by, partition sort for a clustering column, and then our one payload column that's in there, and then getters and setters. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the cart product table entity. So let's say new class, and we're going to call this one cart product table entity. Just like that. I'm going to say entity, entity table, that's right, cart product. There we go. Let's make sure that we import that annotation there. Outstanding. Actually, probably what I should do here is double check our schema. All right, let's do a use e-commerce, and we can say desk table cart products. All right, there's our schema. Real quick, let's take a look inside of there. And we need our from keyword. There we go. And you can see there are the two products that we've added into our cart. You can see it's denoted by this cart ID over here. Timestamp is, kind of matches up. Yeah. So we have three primary keys that we need to worry about here. First, we're partitioning on cart ID. So let's go ahead and define that, and that is a UUID. So let's start out. Partition by 0. And column name, cart ID. Yep. And that's close. Copilot did pretty good here. All right, let's make that a UUID, just like that. Let's just double check. Yep, that looks right. So now let's go ahead and import partition by and import column, and make sure column comes from the DataStax client library, not from the Spring library. There we go. And lastly, let's make sure we're importing UUID from Java util. All right, outstanding. Next, we've got product timestamp here. And these days, that's matching up to an instant. So let's go private instant. Oh, you know what? That's going to be, there we go. Timestamp, right? Oh, product underscore timestamp, right? There we go. Now let's go ahead and import instant from the Java time library. And then here, let's go ahead and do partition sort position 1, order ascending. Oh, actually, it's going to be order descending for product timestamp. So let's go ahead and then, there we go. Order descending. Perfect. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's get, there we go. That's much better. All right. Our next clustering key is product ID, and that is going to be sorted in ascending order. So let's also do partition sort, position 2, order ascending, and column product ID, and then private string product ID. Yes, that's correct. Good job, Copilot. Okay, now the next ones. We have our product name and quantity. Oh, I see. Product description, name, and quantity. Let's do that. Sure, we can do product name here, private string, product name, product description, private string, product description. And yeah, that's that. So just quantity. That's the last thing here. There we go. All right. Now the only other thing we need are getters and setters. So let's go ahead and do source, generate getters and setters, select all, generate. There we go. All right. We now have our cart product table entity. Next, we can get rid of this price table entity. Let's have a look at, let's have a look at our data API configuration here. Yep, so we have our public beans. Yeah, okay. So let's do bean, and we're going to say table cart product, and then we'll say public table cart product entity, table cart product database DB. Perfect. Let's go ahead and import that object from the entities package. And then we can say if DB table exists, cart product return. Oh yeah. Look at this. Yep. Copilot did an amazing job on this one. All right. Okay, so we have our cart product bean all set up, and that's in the data API configuration class. Yep, data API configuration. There you go. So now let's bounce over to our data API services, and we can go up here, and let's go ahead and auto wire this in. Auto wired. Qualifier table, and we want cart underscore product, and that's going to be table cart product table entity cart product repository. Outstanding. Let's highlight that and get our import there. Okay. All right. Next, let's go ahead and we want to be able to find all of the items in our cart by an ID, which is a UUID. So let's go ahead and have a look at our cart product controller. Just, yep. UUID, cart ID, there it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and say, oh, we need to be in our data API services. And this is get price by, yep. Okay, so let's do public. We'll say optional cart product table entity. Yeah, you know what? We're going to say get cart product by cart ID. That is all we need to worry about there. There we go. Let's get rid of that. And make sure we also import the UUID class from the Java util library. Okay. I incorrectly had this for a single item coming back. So let's change this up a little bit. So we're going to say list. Yep. We don't need to worry about sorting options here, but let's just say cart product entity, results equals cart product repository find filter. Oh, there we go. Let's tab that. Okay, and then we're going to create a new list called return val. And we're going to return that down here. There we go. So now let's iterate through each cart product table entity in the results, and we're going to add it to return val and then return. All right. Next, let's go back to the cart products REST controller. Now, instead of building a list of a cart product entity from cart products repository, find by key cart ID, let's just comment that out. And let's say list cart product table entity. And we'll say results. And that's going to be cart. Oh, you know what? I have not created that yet. Yep, let's back up a little bit here. So right here, inside of the controller, we're injecting the Spring Data Cassandra repository for the cart products table. Let's also inject our data API services so that we can get at our cart product repository that we defined here. Okay, so if I look at the price REST controller and I scroll down, you can see that, yep, here we go. We defined that data API services object. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. And then we injected it via the constructor. So right here, we're just going to copy that and add it right on the end here. All right, price REST controller can go away. And then let's say data API services equals data API repo. Perfect. Okay, now we have this data API services object that we can go ahead and start using. So now let's say data API services, get cart by cart ID. All right, and now we just need to import that cart product table entity. All right, so now we have our list. The only other thing we need to do here is map the results back to a cart product object. Now, our map cart product method is not set for that type of object. So if I go down here, you can see that, yeah, we have this map cart product entity. This is what we're trying to call right here. So you know what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this, and we'll go to the bottom, and we'll just repaste that again, and we'll change this to cart product table entity, like that. And then we can get rid of the references to the primary key object. And it looks like product description was a little different. Get product description. There we go. And set product timestamp. Oh, that was done as a date. All right, so you know what we're going to do? Since our main Pojo here, this cart product class, expects what we pull out of the database to come back as a Java util date, we should have that pulled in, but let's do a date from instant. Here we go. There. That should do it. All right, let's try this out. So if I go ahead and hit run, you can see things starting up. All right. Looks like we're running. Let's go back to here. Okay. I can look at a product. All right. Now let's look at the cart. Uh-oh. Let's double check our cart products. Yeah, there's cart products in there, all right. Oh, you know what it is? Cart product singular. Cart product singular. And cart products plural. I bet that's what our problem here is. So let's go ahead and fix our auto wire there. Let's have a look at the configuration. Table.cart products, no, with an S, not a Z. Cart products. All right, save that. And back to here. Yep, saved there. If I have a look down here, okay, I don't need to touch that. All right, let's go back to the cart product entity table, cart products, and save that. Okay, let's give this another shot here. Okay, we are now running. Let's go back to here, back to the beginning, have a look at the cart. Hey, we got products. All right, so that was totally it. Hey, there you go. We have this working. We have get cart product by cart ID. Outstanding. Well, with the getter for the cart product by cart ID working, let's move on down the line here. That's going to be add product to cart. Okay. So first thing is first here. Let's go ahead and copy what we have for that get products by cart ID, because we're going to use that right here. And that returns a list of cart product table entity. And same thing, we'll say cart product table entity. There we go. So then we can do CPE, get product ID. Perfect. Oh, yeah. So if it already exists in the cart, we're not going to add it a second time. We're just going to update the quantity. Yep. Let's save the database. So this will be data, API, services, and actually we are going to have to write that before we do anything else. But here, let's go ahead and say, oh, look at that. Public void save cart product. Is it really that easy? Okay, so then we can say, yep, just save cart product. Save cart product. There we go. Okay, and if it is not found, then we can go ahead and take our product that we have here, and we can map it to a cart product table entity. And then we can say data API services, save cart product, and then add it to the in-memory cart as well. That will be returning when we're done. Now, of course, our map cart product entity is not working. So let's go ahead and adjust that. Yep, here we go. All right. Table entity and table entity. There we go. And cart product table entity. Okay. And then down to here. We don't need a new primary key. And we need the full product description. And here we can say set cart ID, and that's going to be cart product dot get cart ID. Then we can say set timestamp. Yep, to instant. Yep, that's right. And then product ID. There we go. So now our mapper is done. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. Now, back to the main screen. Let's check out the cart. Okay, I have 3 items in the cart here. Let's go ahead and add this DataStax black hoodie. There we go. I want extra large. And let's say add to cart. Might also like the vintage MVP hoodie. Oh, outstanding. All right, let's check the cart. Oh, look at that. It's in there. DataStax black hoodie. It made it. Outstanding. So if I go ahead and check the table, sure enough, there we go. We have 4 products out there. Okay, so our cart ad worked. And if I scroll down a little here, here's the delete mapping by cart ID and product ID. All right. Oh, so here we are again. Find cart, or find by key cart ID. Yeah. Let's fix that right off the bat here. So data API services, get cart product by cart ID. Actually, I should make that say products, but that's okay. All right. And we're going to start by replacing that. And that fails because this is a cart product table entity. Instead, we're also going to want our return value to be the same thing here. There we go. And our mapper should work just fine because we adjusted the mapper last time. Cart product table entity. So, real quick, for a delete, why would we need to go through the cart? You know, wouldn't product ID, the cart ID be enough? Well, the thing is, if you remember from our schema here, we have these columns that make up our primary key. Cart ID is our partition key. Then we're using product timestamp as the first clustering column, and then product ID as the second clustering column. The thing is, though, is that we can't skip keys. So the idea with the original logic was to pull back the cart products by cart ID, iterate through until you find your match, and delete, and that was the way you did it without needing to know the product timestamp. Let's go into our data API services here, and we can say public void delete cart product. So now what we're going to do is check for the cart items that come back. We're going to check the product ID and see that it equals the product ID that we have sent along to this method here. Delete cart product. And we're going to do this a little bit differently here. We're going to say instant product timestamp. And we'll go ahead and import that. Let's go back to our idea of creating that filter with map of, and then right in between cart ID and product ID, I'm going to insert our product timestamp. Let's see if that does it. All right, I've also noticed that for whatever reason, our constant remove from cart is not getting called here. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on there. This is on the React.js side inside of our cart JavaScript, because this is the right RESTful endpoint. That's the right method, but for whatever reason, that is just not getting called. So what we're going to do instead is to call this with curl from the command line. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. All right, check out the cart. We have our 4 products out there. Now I can hit remove, and this shouldn't work because I know it's not calling that underlying database method. So that's something I'm going to have to look into, but let's just go through the motion here. Okay, remove from cart. Let's go, let's check back, and of course it's back. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to say curl delete, and we're going to go to HTTP 127.0.0.1 8080 API v1 carts. Here's our cart ID, products/product ID. Okay, well, we actually did get a shopping cart returned. So I have some high hopes that we might have made the right change inside of the service layer. So now if we go here, let's go ahead and go back and then open the cart. Oh, look at that. It's gone. It's gone. So let's check at the database level and we'll rerun this query. And oh, yep, we're down to 3 products inside of our cart. Outstanding. So basically in this video, we took 3 cart methods on a e-commerce backend service layer. One for getting all of the products in the cart, another for adding a product to the cart, and then one more for removing a product from the cart. And we got all of these converted into the data API using the table API, and we were able to make that work. So, hey, there you go. Now you've seen how to do a get, a put, and a delete from a RESTful sense to affect your CQL tables inside of AstroDB. All right, thanks everyone. Want more information on modernizing your self-managed Cassandra deployments? Head on out to datastax.com/modernize-apache-cassandra-workloads, and you'll find all the information you need on keeping your self-managed Cassandra cluster updated and in top running form. Thank you, and have a great day.